thing didn't go through right away, but welcome back to another OC Talks. Obviously, we have the usual co-host Meraki
Hello.
and two guests, Azmira and Tarok. I hope I pronounced Tarok right, or Tarok.
Warhawk, you can say.
Welcome, you guys.
Well, thank you for having me, for
Yeah.
having us. So,
Happy to have you.
We were just saying this is going to be an interesting one because we've two different MMOs.
Yeah.
yeah, my OC will be from World of Warcraft, where the other guest is gonna be from Final Fantasy. So
Yes, so hello. I will be bringing in, I think, the first OC on this show from another MMO.
I think it might be.
really,
Yeah.
I think.
I think it might be.
Shit, that's
Yeah.
So as a reminder to everyone that we're not it's not just locked to WoW OCs. You can bring other OCs into this if you want. But yeah, welcome you guys. I think the usual question is, how did you get into roleplay to begin with before we dive into stuff? But Azmira's been here so many times.
I'll relegate that one to Tarok.
Yeah, Tarok can have this one.
Can I? Okay, I can have this one. When did I first started role playing? I think I always had a knack with like playing with my characters alone when I was I was a kid, and I first I think I first got a hand on Warcraft during Warcraft 3 with Warcraft 3, and then I decided to one day go online and realize that there's a bunch of other peoples doing the same thing but together, and I was like, oh shit, that's interesting. Let me just try a bit, and here I am role playing and making like tons of OCs because I just can't just stick to one.
Once you start.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
The multiple OCs gang.
Not me.
Excuse me,
That's a
you're
lie.
the worst of us all.
That is a lie.
That is just a ball. We all know you,
No.
Fuse. You're not gonna get away with that shit.
I need proof. Everyone's just scrolling through my Twitter, grabbing everything now.
I'm looking at one.
Yeah, well, let's just dive into it then, because Azmira's been done this multiple times, so...
If you're interested in Amira's origin stories, you can go back to any of the other episodes up on the YouTube channel and find it.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll find it. I think I've unless I've forgotten lately, but I'm pretty sure I label the guests underneath on the descriptions on YouTube normally.
So it should be nice and easy to find and everything.
Yep. So
anyway,
generous.
Who is your character? Shall we jump alphabetically here? So Azmira to Tarok.
I'm fine with that. I think Azmira can.
Oh, do you mind if Tarok goes first on this one, actually?
All right. Well, Azmira
if you have a preference.
It's gonna be tennis the whole life. Like, no, you can have this one. No, you can have it.
Oh,
Come
God.
on.
It will be an hour when, and we won't be past the third question.
Just 1 hour of just this.
Well, you did want chaos.
I asked for chaos, not politeness.
I'm
Does
anarchy,
it find this
okay?
chaos?
No. All right. Well, who is your character, Tarok?
So, my character, my OC today is Thorhawk's Thunderhorn. Yes, it's a little bit on the nose, but he's an old Tauran warrior who is a veteran from the war against the Lich King. We're gonna get controversial real quick because in my personal headcanon, he's also known to be one of the 25 heroes who directly defeated the Lich King. This is the only prominent lore event that I attribute to him, as it's more part of his background. Like, if you ever meet me IRP, you're free to recognize me as such or not. Like, I'm not gonna force it on your throat. So, of course, being seen as this big deal, he used his public image during the Cataclysm to form a guild of unlikely warriors who would help preserve the Horde's values and honor and protect the Horde from threats that would lurk around the Horde, but their efforts would rapidly concern not only the Horde but the rest of Azeroth itself. That was my note, by the way, if you didn't you didn't catch that I was reading the whole time.
I mean, that's fine. I guess it gets it through quickly.
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
very smooth. I wouldn't have known if you didn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine.
It's like he just knows his character.
God, he just
I know
snaps
my
it.
characters, but
We
I
were
also
willing to give you that, and you sunk it for yourself. So you know.
I wanted to prepare this question as best as possible.
All right, so
So-
he's a character that was involved in the defeat of the Lich King, was it?
Yeah,
and he-
exactly. He's a veteran of the war on Northrend, and from that point on, he makes his own guild of unlikely heroes, basically other characters, and they just go on merry adventures and silly antics.
Are the adventures actually merry, and are the antics actually silly?
They can be boring as fuck, but they can be boring as fuck. Not gonna lie, but we
No.
we try to make it at least a bit silly and merry.
Where you can, you squeeze in the silly and merry.
Exactly.
just do a mixture of both. Your Torrent from the was it Bloodhoof, isn't it?
Yep. He's a Bloodhoof mate.
God, for some reason I always forget the main Torrent tribe. So he's got a lot of ties with that area. Does he have any relations to the other Torrents, like Grim Totem, High Mountain?
He's had encountered them, and like he's had relations with a few of them. Not that sounded weird. but-
Relations?
No, that's not what I meant.
Mm.
Sorry, my English is weird. I'm French originally. I don't know my my
Oh,
words.
what?
Yeah, to be fair, the word actually is the correct word. It's just we always associate it with one particular type of relation.
Yeah, it's this one type of relationship, but he's tied how can I say this one acquaintances with a few Grim Totem and High Mountain. Grim Totem, it's a bit more complicated because they wanted to take over the tribe that one time. They kind of.
Time.
Yeah, they kind of killed their leader indirectly. So, there's always a.
It does do something to make diplomatic relations a little bit more strained.
Exactly.
What was his thoughts with Sorry, I'm pushing the question a bit further here, but with
Yeah,
the
go
whole
on. Yeah, go on.
recent Legion sort of again with the High Mountain and the other tribes there, like Skyhorn and all that stuff. What are his thoughts on that, or has he always known of it?
Has he always known of them? No.
So-
No.
What also there's the Yongle, I guess, but what has this opened up to him?
Well, how can I? He just I think he met the High Mountain when during Legion, when the Burning Legion started returning and attacking. Of course you want to protect Azeroth, you have to go to the place with the most demon, because of course, and that turned out to be a place where the High Mountain Torrents resided, and the Torhawks and his guild met them, and they got along. Oh, I didn't even mention the guild's name. The guild's name are the Soul Masters.
Sounds like an interesting name for a guild led by Thor.
And if you ask me why the Soul Masters, I would answer to you. That's a very good question. Next question.
I guess that'll be more like a guild interview question.
Yeah.
All right, Asmira.
Go on.
Go on, Asmira. What about your character?
So this might be a little bit of a shift, but it's a Final Fantasy OC. And you're looking at her on the screen right now. She is a Duskwhite Elezen from the slums of Ishgard, the Broom, who was born to a family of impoverished nobles who were cast down from nobility after an affair, which was the result of why she's a Duskwhite, to put it lightly. And
She's the result of the affair.
Yeah.
Is she the result of the affair?
Not exactly.
I don't know anything about Final Fantasy races, so I'm...
Me neither. Welcome to the club.
Her father was the result of the affair. She's the grandchild.
Okay. Yes. All right. Yes, I'm with you now. Okay, I'm caught up.
She's the grandchild. So she didn't know. She hasn't really known nobility growing up. She grew up She's grown up fully in the Broom, unlike her father. And eventually she had to find a way to survive aside from, well, various activities that I'm not even sure I can even mention on stream. And eventually she took on mercenary work that led her out of the city. One of those jobs involved the assassination of a mage, a foreign mage in the province. She lost the battle, but this mage was seeking recruits for an order that was basically wiped out ages ago. Saw the magical potential in her and offered her a choice of joining him, and she accepted. And that is how she became a red mage. However, she didn't fully become a red mage proper until much later, when he died. Because she took on work with him for a while. Lefard was his name. And eventually, it got to a point where, around the time of the Calamity, she and Lefard engaged one contract against a void-sent creature that ended up killing Lefard, possessing him, and he left behind his Jodstone, which is a crystal which has all the memories and knowledge of...
Thank you for confirming that for me, because that was going to be my next question.
Yeah, in short, they're basically memory crystals, which allow you to learn things from that specific mentor a bit faster. And so she picked it up and fully took on the mantle of a red mage soon after. Yeah, a little bit, madam. And after that, she never really went with any groups after. She was drafted into war several times by Ishgard, her home city. She was drafted into the Dragon Song War, and a few other wars after that. Although post-Dragon Song War, she's become a bit less bitter due to change of government. So she's mostly just surviving in the world, and she's a bit unusual in the fact that you don't really see many Duskwights out in the world to begin with. Like, most of them tend to have a bit of a bad reputation. So she's trying to survive, while also planning eventual revenge on the Void Sent one day, while also seeking forgiveness from dragons who she used to fight in that war. But she didn't really want to fight them, but she was forced to. So, yeah, that's Virion in a nutshell. I still haven't fully RP'd her yet. Like, I've only really gotten 2 RP sessions in with her, but for the moment, she's becoming pretty solid in terms of background.
It doesn't take long, I think. Once you roleplay a character, you start to really get a grip for them very quickly.
Yeah, like
Yes.
this was an interesting one for me because like this was a completely new setting that I'm still to this day learning about. Like I've only been playing this game for like a few months now, so it's been an interesting challenge actually writing an OC in a completely new setting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a big
that's-
steep learning curve.
Yeah,
That's a huge challenge because like aside from WoW, I didn't role play much into other MMOs. I know I've made some role plays in Warcraft 3, but it's the same universe, so it's kind of
Yeah.
easy.
well, for me it was kind of like it was a little easier because I had done RP and ESO and SWOTOR before.
Yeah, I guess you had you already had the experience, so of course you can adapt
Yeah.
it.
It's just this setting in particular runs on like very specific rule sets. Like the entire laws of physics, for example, in FF14 don't work the same way as they do in, say, Elder Scrolls or WoW. So it's like it's still a bit of a
So
challenge.
it's not even like a similar kind of universe type thing. It's a completely new experience.
Heck, even the way they speak is completely different. Like the actual in the English translation of the game, they have this very old English style of speaking.
I don't think anyone roleplays like that though.
Yeah, I kind of want to stick to it though for like
I mean,
authenticity.
yeah, sure.
Plus, she's from the Broom anyway. She's gonna have a bit of an odd accent either way.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to briefly dash away from the queue. Did we ask the second question?
No, not
Okay.
yet.
Did you have any initial inspiration towards the design of your character? If so, where from?
Oddly enough, a few actually, mostly from NPCs that I actually wrote for WoW events, where
Love that. Love when you can repurpose it.
yep, like this.
So what were the inspirations for the NPCs? That's the question.
Well,
I've gone back the rabbit hole. Can you go?
Oh no.
Okay, so basically,
How far can we go into the background?
Speaking of Benuis, now basically the Virion mostly comes from 2 sources of inspiration. Both of them OCs of mine, in that one is from primarily a Venthyr OC that I wrote for a campaign I led with my guild, actually fairly recently. Lady Cinderlane, a Venthyr who was helping us through like during our journeys in the Shadowlands. In fact, Virion shares the surname Cinderlane. In fact, she even looks a bit like her too, just without the red eyes. So it's she's very much based a bit off of the Venthyr OC that I wrote, as well as aspects of an ESO OC that I LP'd. It was also called Virion Cinderlane, a dark elf of an impoverished noble family in Morrowind. So she's got a little bit of aspects of one of my old SWOTOR characters too, a Sith, which is where the red mage stuff comes from, like how she fights.
So she's a bit of a melting pot then.
Yeah, she's a little bit of an amalgamation of previous things I've written, kind of repurposed in a new setting, where it kind of blends together surprisingly well. But her actual mannerisms and personality are completely different to anything I usually RP. She is very much the polar opposite of Asmira, who's very Asmira's a good person. Virion is well, she's not a bad person, but she's not really a good person either. She's very, very mercenary.
She's a neutral person.
Yeah, she is what I'd consider true neutral.
Yeah.
Like, she's only got only one thing she hates in the world, and that's void scent. And to a degree, noble gits, but who doesn't hate noble gits?
Even nobles hate nobles, to be fair. So yeah.
And monetarists.
Transfer throughout different worlds, even.
Yep.
In any MMO, you can hate a noble.
And in any MMO, I think the one big commonality is that they all Jake, why would you ask me such a thing?
No, we're not getting
Jake,
into that. No.
We're not going to get into controversial topics like that. we'll get too
Honestly,
heated.
the next person,
like controversial toppings.
the next person even mentions banana on pizza's getting banned.
I was
Ow.
I will ban the next person who mentions banana on pizza.
I just left.
All right, Tarok, what about you? Where's your inspiration drawn from your character, if you have any?
This okay. So this is very blunt. Thorox. I started creating him ever since like Warcraft 3. He's basically based on the Tauren chieftain from Warcraft 3. So you have a So like I see this image of like this old but strong Tauren with like the huge totems on his back, and uh, and basically he would be basically Cairn. He's basically at first he was basically Cairn, this Cairn Bloodhoof, this like old wise but friendly Tauren. He was kind of like that, and for his personality over time I kind of gave him a more like less serious but more humble personality, kind of like I think the character I love to compare him with, and I think I draw inspiration from that. It's All Might from My Hero Academia. I think the best way to describe him quickly, it would be this character. If you don't know My Hero Academia, I'm sorry, but
I know of it. I don't know of the character stuff.
I have no idea who the character is, but I like the idea of the inspiration of it being from an actual Warcraft 3 hero class. Like I always loved I love characters like that where they kind of draw from the actual units a bit.
Voila. Asmira totally got it. It's pretty much the character I'm trying to do when I role play as him. Not saying I succeed, but
Hey, to be fair, like you can get pretty damn close to a Tauren chieftain in WoW, like given the mods that you can get now. I don't know. Don't know if you can get the totems though.
You can get totems, can't you?
You can get totems now. You have
neat.
Yeah, you have the heritage armor. For the Taurens, they have this huge like totem on the back.
Oh, neat.
Back in the day, I just used like auras that give you like the totems. They had some effects that gives you that.
There's some pretty nifty stuff that was added in Legion for Tauren.
Yeah.
So have you ever run into any issues when role-playing a character? If so, how did you overcome it?
Is it me or Asmira?
Asmira, have you role-played that character yet?
Twice. I've done 2 RP sessions of the character so far.
Did you manage to run into any trouble while doing them?
A little bit, actually. Like, mostly adjusting to the actual... Mostly, it wasn't really the interaction, but rather... This is a bit of an odd one, but the actual systems, like the chat log
and
so on, This is the other challenge of RPing in another game that's unfamiliar to you, in that sometimes you can do some like really weird stuff with the chat log and like the interactions with the environment that actually kind of throw a wrench in the RP a little. And that's kind of what happened a few times, where oftentimes my emotes would come out very weirdly because of because I'm just not familiar with how emotes work in this game or how chat works. And sometimes that extends to struggling with the mannerisms of the character, where my character would appear a lot more friendlier than intended. For example, in one RP, like she was a lot friendlier than I intended her to be because I was making a lot of mistakes with the chat system itself.
It's quite interesting to think about, like it can affect that kind of thing. Like I know obviously there's an adjustment to be made when you're in a different game to those kind of things.
Oh yeah, I had the same problem in ESO and SWOTOR back in the day as well.
I think WoW's very friendly in that regard with the system it has in place for role players.
It does.
Yeah.
The only other one I know SWOTOR, but I'm familiar enough with it. But one I jumped to that was new to me was years and years ago now, but it was Guild Wars 2, and I found that completely off-putting because it was so different. The range, even just the range on things was like, I don't know how many times what it is in WoW. So I could see people were role-playing, and I spent about 2 hours trying to find them. And I just could not find them because the cities are so tiered and the moat range is so big. So even just that one little like mechanical difference had made a huge effect.
Yeah, so like in Final Fantasy, there's actually a few rules, like unwritten rules, in that, for example, to speak Iceli, you got to put like these speech marks between your texts to denote that you're talking IC, which is something I'm still adjusting to.
Yeah, whereas in WoW, it's sort of assumed that if it's in, say...
Yeah,
if it's not set on the spot, people are gonna assume you're AFK, so...
And it's also because of the way the game is designed, RP hubs are a little bit different in that I don't really see any hubs per se, but occasionally I'll just, when I'm doing content, like I'm doing like fates or something, I'll randomly see a massive group of RPers just out in the field or in a random town with no context whatsoever, and like I'm not sure what to do because like if I'm RPing, for example, like another problem I've faced is actually whenever I want to emote, you actually have to do /EM instead of /E like in WoW. So every time I do /E, it is an emote, but only you can see it. Whereas if you do /EM, it's an emote everyone can see. So I keep making the mistake of emoting to myself.
I can't imagine the hour-long emotes you might have wrote just gone into the void.
The thing is, though, if I could see them, I wouldn't realize that anybody else couldn't. Like I wouldn't know that
That's
I'd done
the
it
problem.
wrong.
Like that was exactly what happened to me. Like in the first RP session I had this thing where like I was typing emotes, but the other person wasn't seeing them at all.
Like putting yourself on mute and being completely unaware that you've done it. You're like, why is no one talking to me? Why is everybody ignoring me?
Oh,
because they have no idea you're trying to talk to them.
Oh my god.
That's the I can see why that would take some getting used to.
Yeah. Other than that, it's mostly just adjusting to a new setting, really. Like I am still RPing on WoW too, so there's also that balance of like adjusting to two settings.
What about you, Tarok?
I've run into quite the issues when role playing when you roleplay a Tauren that's supposed to be nice in a guild that's mostly full of orcs, of goblins who like to run headfirst into danger without like any management, it's kind of hard to lose your. It's kind of hard to keep your cool together.
The other
uh,
guy's sitting at the side going, wait a minute. Should we think about this first?
yes. Shouldn't we go? No, my friends. Where do we go? Like right or left? And they just ran up front. Like,
We're just gonna go in through the front door.
yeah, I try when I try to like to establish like some narrative in my role plays, because I like to prepare some narratives, and like I have players that don't follow it, so like half of my characters, they look like dumbasses. It kind of happens a lot. I also like I have a like a bigger I have a bigger issues. I think my biggest issues is like going to roleplay with peoples I don't know. Like when I go to Silver Moon or Stormwind, like there's lots of these are the place to meet new people and interact with roleplay in the field,
Yeah.
and I kind of have a very hard time doing this because I can't like I don't know if I'm gonna be weird, if I'm gonna look weird, if I'm gonna uh if what I say might be taken the wrong way or something, and so I tend to keep like this whole headcanon with Torox and a lot of other OCs of mine with like close friends that have been role playing with me like for years. So it's kind of hard for me to get into new territories, meeting new people.
Yeah.
Probably has to do with my autism, but that's a whole other story.
Make it easier.
It just doesn't help,
Yeah.
I know that feel.
I think everyone gets that to a certain degree though, because every time you walk into like, if I run into Ogrimmar, then I would have the same kind of like, how is this going to be received in this different place?
Yes,
What I'm used
in
to.
like the different context of the other people's character. Like
Yeah.
if you might not even know it. Like some character might be in a completely different time event than you. Like
Yeah.
I know sometimes that I know I tend to I have role played characters like in a situation that was like chronologically before the present or after, and and I wouldn't like to be to meet a guy that's from Shadowlands when I try to to role play
It
during
would
BFA or something.
throw a big spanner into the RP.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people are respectful enough though with those sort of situations. I'd like to
Yeah,
hope at least.
that's a basic situation, but it's just
Yeah,
the biggest to me.
yeah,
It's the
yeah.
biggest.
It's understandable. Um, so what is your OC's goals and aspirations?
For me, it's simple: to inspire world peace and lead his guild, never mind his family, to a better future. That's the main goal.
What about you, Esmera?
Virion's goal is twofold. It's on the one hand, it's revenge against the Void Sent, an empty kind of revenge, and on the other hand, forgiveness from the dragons, and mostly herself for the sins she's committed throughout in trying to survive. and also making enough gil so that her family, or what's left of it, can finally get the hell out of the Broom and into an actual home.
That's nice.
Yeah, she's got a
Fair
brother. Yeah, she's got a younger brother he was crippled during the Dragon Song War, unlike her. And while he can't really fight anymore, she doesn't really want him wasting away in the Broom. Her parents are still alive too, but then they don't live in the Broom. Like, they live elsewhere.
All right.
Noble goals.
Do they have family, a partner? Do they want or have kids? Are they on good terms with their family?
Yeah, I could go into this one, and that leading off from that, it's like Virion's brother, Arluin, was crippled during the war. He's just a little bit younger than Virion, but he's more of a financial guy. Like, he's more of a businessman than a fighter, and tends to be more at home doing like merchant stuff. While her father, who was actually the one who was born a Duskwhite, like the original Duskwhite of the family, after the affair, is a hunter who was accused of heresy at one point, and in order to escape that, left the country and fled north into Dravania, where he now lives at Tailfeather with the other hunters. And her mother is like an actual, not a Duskwhite, like a normalish guardian Elizon, who broke the mold, and like they didn't necessarily wed because they're not really a high end family, but they got together. But she's an astrologian who she doesn't really mention her kids very often. In fact, she barely even talks about them, but she subtly attempts to weave the fates to grant them a better life, although that hasn't really had much success. And beyond that, her grandparents, like her grandfather, still lives, the Duskwhite in who is kind of responsible for the whole thing, but no one knows where he is. Her grandmother's gone, like the one who actually started the whole thing. Like, she's gone at this point, died in the Broom of poverty. And that's her family. That's the Cinderlanes.
Awesome. What about you, Tarok? Sorry, we're kind of pushing it quick because we're 20 minutes and we're not even halfway through.
Yeah.
What about you, Tarok?
Do they have family and stuff?
Do they have family? Do they have a partner? Do they have or want kids? Are they on good terms
Well,
with them?
he's had a partner during the War of Northrend, a Tauren warrior named Ayachi. Unfortunately, she died during that war, so sad. And he has, mostly thanks to the guild, he has 2 adoptive kids. He has Gloktar, his first kid, who is a troll of the Darkspear tribe, but with Zandalari biology of heritage. It's a whole different OC in itself, and his second adoptive kid, his adoptive daughter, is Cassandra, who is an undead Gilnean girl, who kind of had a. It's hard to explain. Kind of hard to explain. Basically, she's been possessed by this old faceless one OC, and basically Torhawks tried to help her, getting a hand of her condition, and eventually took her in.
All right. Sorry, I was paying attention. I had to ban 3 bots there.
Oh,
Well, you tell him. You tell me if I'm not interested.
But no. There's a problem
Boring,
on
you can
Twitch
tell
right
me.
now. There's a problem on Twitch right now with some bots
Oh.
and
There's a
shit
lot
like
of
that.
those
Yeah.
Oh
bot accounts.
shit.
So I had to ban 3 of those right there. But yeah, I was listening. Don't worry. All right. That's pretty cool stuff from the pair of you. Where do they live and where have they lived before?
Who's going first?
First again. You have this one. No, you have this one. I'll take this one first.
All right, go ahead.
That's a good question. He mostly resides in the Soul Masters headquarters. And like Soul Masters, they've had different bases of operations. They can be like Dorotar, close to Orgrimmar. They've been in the Overlook Cliffs in the hinterlands. They've had a base in High Mountain. This is where they got along with the High Mountains and stuff. Now they currently reside in Torhawks and the Soul Masters. They kind of reside in an OC island near Northrend. I prefer leaving leaving the part where he lived when he was a kid to the childhood question, because like
That's the problem.
that's a beast in itself.
It can't be that cozy living up in Northern, though.
No, he's not.
But then again, he is a big Tauren first, so I guess he's got that going for him.
He's a chunky guy.
Chunky guy.
He fine. He fine.
He's a chunky bovine.
What
Chunky
about?
bovine. He survived pretty well.
It's pretty. It's got to be even harsher now with the scourge and stuff, right? But yeah. Well, what about you, Ismir?
So Virion, originally, her home could be summarized as a hole in the ground in the middle of the Broom, which is actually it's along the ramparts of the lower end of Ishgard, but it mostly extends into an underground bit of the castle. So it is mostly underground. And her home is this little shithole in the corner of the Broom, which I've just nicknamed the Hole. But eventually she will move into the Firmament, which is actually that new district being built in the wake of the war. Eventually, like when she amasses enough gil, whenever I get a player house, basically. And she does have a home away from home, but it's not hers. It belongs to Lefard's sister, Carlia, and that's in Alamigo. Even that one is kind of broken down due to the wars there. So
In a way, we all live in a hole.
yeah, so basically Virion lives in a hole in the Broom, which is mostly the only reason nobody's gone in and taken it yet is because as a mage, she's figured out how to protect it with wards. It's like the one bit of security she has down there.
It is a pretty shitty place to live.
Yeah, for context, it's where the dragons hit the hardest when they attacked the city. And the nobles didn't want to do anything about it.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's like what would happen if you took. It's like what would happen if you took the what's it called in Silver Moon? The shadowy alley.
Murder Alley, yeah.
Yeah, it's like what would happen if you took Murder Alley, the Shadow Cleft, and Old Town, threw Dragonfire at it, and besieged it for 1,000 years, and did nothing to maintain it and leave people there to suffer.
Murder Road, that's it. But yeah.
Yeah,
there's also the big ass scar in between the halfway through Silver Moon, basically.
Yeah, that's basically what the broom is. It's
Yeah.
what happens if you leave like the slums so badly that like even the people there are really contemptful of everyone outside because nobody's gone to help them.
Can you imagine just
Jesus.
having a place in your city called Murder Row?
Yeah,
I think that the actual name is Arger's Row.
Okay.
but we all know what it really is, though.
Yes, but you're some murders people.
Mm.
What did they do? Have they always done that? Where did they learn the skills required for it? And did they want to do it, or was it forced on them?
I can start with this one. It's Virion used to. Well, she wasn't always a mage, although she always had magical or as in universe, a talent with etherology, but she mostly never really got to use it until she attacked that red mage that brought her on. Beyond that, well, before that, she is what in game you would consider it a lancer. So she used to be good at pole arms and lances and occasionally daggers. No, she was a bit of a scoundrel. But once she took on the mantle of Red Mage, she became very proficient with a rapier and a spell and a what's it called? A focus? I think it's called a focus, which is it's the pommel of the Red Mage's rapier, which allows them to cast spells from it as if it were a staff, if they held it upside down. And she's now, ever since becoming a red mage and taking on the Jobstone, which I mentioned earlier, after Lafard's death, she is becoming very proficient at red mage, which is using the ether within oneself and balancing it out between white and black magic and using it in a way that doesn't damage the world around you, unlike a black and white mage. And she's also a very good swordswoman, which is why a rapier. It's why red mage suited her over, say, Thaumaturgy.
All right.
So she's become essentially a battle mage, like for context outside of FF. The closest would be a Spellblade, really.
Unfortunately, we don't have spell blades, but I wish we did. Because I
Okay,
would
great.
love like a more battle mage sort of style play.
I just did a demonstration on screen.
But there's so many like sparkles with the abilities on Final Fantasy.
Oh, spell.
The completely untroubled bunny in the front.
She just doesn't care.
Like, if I don't pay any attention, maybe they'll go away.
Exactly that.
Well,
It looks like this meme, you know, with the one white woman and the whole the entire like big person behind her.
oh no.
Only it's like one tough swordswoman. But
All right. Well, what about you, Tarok? What about your character?
Warhawk is, I think Warhawk has always had a knack for like physical combat and like being being this inspirational guy. He just like he just like he just needed to he first really had to develop them first during the war on Northrend when he was recruited as a grunt and stuff. And learn to be inspirational, to be a leader when he first created the Soul Masters, because you know you have to take responsibility, you have to take charge. He kind of learned
go
he kind
downhill
of
very quickly.
sorry.
Someone doesn't, it's going to go downhill very quickly.
Exactly, you have to learn on the fly real quick.
You technically have to with the world you live in Azeroth.
Yeah, with that
Especially in
constant
Azeroth when
forefront.
you, especially in Azeroth, like especially in Cataclysm when it was like an open war between the Horde and the Alliance. When they go into Alliance territory, you kind of don't want to be seen. But again, you manage a bunch of orcs, goblins that are all about blowing stuff up. So of course they're
It's
gonna
just
get noticed.
anarchy everywhere.
Oh,
It's
Oh.
pretty much anarchy, but it's like the actual definition of it. It's like order, but it's like a bit of order without rules.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
So what is their favorite memory and what is their worst memory?
That question I didn't prepare at all. Uh,
Oof.
yes, because like he's had Torahawks has had a bunch of favorite memory, but I can't like I haven't really picked one. I couldn't really choose one in particular.
Oh, don't worry, I had the same problem, so I just picked a random one.
What's
Yeah, you have to
your
pick a
favorite
random one.
of his favorites?
I just like I first had to remember every one of them, but then I had to choose. So it was like two really hard step for me.
Making decisions is hard, I forgive you.
Exactly. Though for worst memory, for I think for worst memory, there is one that stands above them all. That was the battle of Valor Wind Lake. That one, yeah, we have OC events. That's how fucked up I am. So it was during Cataclysm. They had some business, and this is where they formed their base on the Overlook Cliffs in the Interlands. Uh, and but then there was in the Interlands there was another organization from the Alliance who had their base not so far away, and since Torhawks was all about like, hey, let's not kill each other. There's like different shit to take care of. He wanted to make a treaty with the guildmaster, who fortunately was kind of the on the same page as him. His name was A3 Whitebeard, Greybeard. Sorry, A3 Greybeard. Sorry, uh, a dwarf who was kind of the on the same page as Torox, as let's not fight each other. We're just here to fight evildoers and stuff. But a lot of people within the Soul Masters didn't like the idea. So uh, one of his one of Torhawk's champions, um, called Gorgonash, which is an orc OC of mine, uh, he used opportunities to turn the guild against it, and to he basically rallied all the members of the guild who opposed to Torok's decision to collaborate with the Alliance, and he was doing all of this while Torhawks was away near Lordaeron when he was taking care of when he met Cassandra, basically. And when Torhawks return, uh, the Soul Masters were about to wage war with the Alliance Guild, and it ended up in this huge mess of kind of a tiny civil war between like the Alliance Guild, the the Horde who wanted to fight the Alliance, the Horde who didn't want to fight the Alliance, and it kind of ended up in a big massacre that in which he lost a lot of uh, uh, his friends and members who trusted him and stuff, and he couldn't do anything because he arrived too late. He couldn't do anything. So, and like and the fact that like he lost a lot of his friends, he was betrayed by one of his most trusted right hand man. Yeah, that hurts.
Really bad day.
That was a
Any one of those things alone, I think, would be qualification enough.
That would be way. Yeah. Those kind of.
They all landed
I
together.
already had to deal with this girl who's basically the exorcist, and now I come back and all my friends are dead. Fuck.
Oh no.
Makes for some interesting roleplay, though. Uh, well, so you can't pick a favorite memory then?
Austin.
Hello?
Me or Aspira?
Oh, did you not manage to pick a favorite one, or?
I didn't manage. I failed completely.
Okay.
It's all war, bad, and war. No, it's not always, but no.
What about you, Esmeralda?
There is actually something that I probably should mention. I completely forgot in like her fighting style, if you don't mind, and that she mixes. I forgot to mention she mixes a bit of dragoon in there, but no, her favorite memory. I had to start with her favorite memory first. That one's a bit difficult because a similar problem with Tarok's OC. It's a lot of bad. Like she was raised in a very brutal place, and I guess her favorite memory would be the first time she ever set foot out of Ishgard and actually saw the world for the first time, and was actually able to see something other than grey stone and rubble and broken scaffolding. She saw grass for the first time. She saw a tree for the first time. Like something she had never considered even existed, given where she came from. She even saw the sky unpolluted by smoke.
One.
Yeah, and it's
That's a mood.
Yeah, like I guess her biggest moment would be her looking out into the sea of clouds, which is the cloud top area around the sea.
Yeah, average white cloud. Wow.
Yeah, like actually seeing an actual cloud instead of smoke.
Yeah, that's not smoke and pollution and stuff.
Yeah. And actually seeing, well, green for the first time, because back then Corvus wasn't stuck in a permanent winter.
Sounds pretty wholesome.
Yeah, her worst memory though
is when it's all ruined.
Is actually she has several terrible memories. Her worst memory is too graphic for me to even talk about here, so I'm gonna go with her second worst memory. In that is actually Lefard's death, because it didn't happen in a normal way. It was that she watched a void scent possess a living being in real time, and it was traumatizing for her. And she's never forgotten it. And it was roughly around the same time as the Calamity too, which was like you can imagine with the world literally ending around you and seeing that. Like, she was not in a very good headspace. Like that moment alone took her a few years to recover from. Like she could barely do anything. Like she was just stuck in shock for quite a few years after that, which is actually kind of coincides with the calamity, given a lot of people's memory of the calamity was muddled anyway. But that moment solidified it in her mind, which is why it's her worst memory. Like, it solidified the trauma that a lot of people in the world actually forgot due to, well, mystical circumstances.
Plot.
Yeah. Well, there is actually a lore reason as to why people forgot about it. But like the reason she remembers it was because of the void scent thing that happened around the same time.
Yeah.
So
Like
she can't really pull those associations away.
If I try to put the pieces together, you're saying like she remembers an entire retcon or some shit.
It's they haven't really. It isn't really a retcon, is it? It's more like
it's
cataclysmic
more
event and changes
cataclysmic
everything.
event, and it changes everything.
Pretty
much. It's an entire reboot basically.
Yeah.
It was a soft reboot. Like it was basically like, imagine if the cataclysm didn't just alter the world, but literally restarted the story a bit.
It restarted the story, the timeline, and stuff.
It started a new era entirely. Like like this was right on the cusp of like the 6th Astral era onto the 7th Umbral era.
That's interesting. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, and that later ended up becoming the 7th Astral era a bit after. So it's like she remembers that whole thing because of the void scent transformation she saw, in which she saw an entire person who she had grown to bond with, probably the closest person she'd ever think of as a father figure aside from her actual dad, who sadly couldn't be there because he was considered a heretic by the city. But the closest thing to an other father figure she had basically had his body mutilated in front of her while he was alive and turned into an eldritch monstrosity.
Ew.
And he's still alive. And he's still alive, by the way. They didn't die.
That by itself would be enough.
Yeah, it didn't help that there was a calamity going on literally a few days after.
Worldwide, not like galaxy-wide disaster.
Yeah, like it didn't help that literally a few days or weeks after the moon, like the literal moon, fell on the continent. So,
Sorry, did you think your day had got as bad as it could get? Because you were wrong.
Yeah, so like
I just survived the end of the world. Hey, look, Cthulhu.
It was the other way round. It was Cthulhu, and also, hey, moon! Also, big Bahamut, like big dragon coming out of the moon, blowing everything up.
Yeah, the whole cutscene where Bahamut like blows up the world, just like fuck you.
Yeah, basically that. Like, just imagine seeing that just a few days after seeing your father figure be mutilated by void creatures.
Oh my god!
So that's why it's her worst memory.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would argue.
Oh,
and it's why she wants revenge against the void scent. Like one day she vows to go to the void and go all Doomslayer in there out of revenge.
Oh, I wish she gets it.
All right. What was their childhood like? I'll let you fight again.
The childhood question. Who takes it first?
You.
I take it first. Okay.
Yeah.
It's as rough as OC backstory goes. Like he was born in a modest tribe of Tauran nomads, and one day his tribe got attacked by a bunch of centaurs who kidnapped Torhawks, and they probably tried to eat him or something, and but before they could take Torhawks to their base, they were attacked. They were attacked by a leopard, big hungry feline, and in the battle, both the feline and the centaurs died. Only Torhawk survived. The problem is he didn't know the way home because he was in a bag the whole time. So he got lost, and he got lost in Desolus, and basically had to survive his whole childhood basically in Desolus. So
Desolus wasn't
that's
always like that, was it? I can't
It's
remember
Yeah,
like
the
a
it used
story.
to be
jungle, if I recall.
Yeah.
a jungle.
yeah.
Oh.
It was more like this huge desert, with like with dead thunder lizards everywhere. It was
It was like a
wasn't
plains, wasn't it?
what?
It was
Sorry?
like a plains, wasn't it? Like a flatlands kind of thing, like Mulgore, if I recall.
No, Desolus is kind of like well, it currently looks like that, but Desolus before Cataclysm, it was like this huge dead
Oh
land.
wait, no, yeah, because of the Blegion. Now I
Yep.
remember. Yeah, Desolus was a
Uh,
wasteland.
How old is Tarok again?
Uh, I like to think he's like a 100-year-old, but it's probably inconsistent. Uh,
Tauren,
uh
I don't even know how long Tauren lived for. I've forgotten now. I think it's
yeah,
average like humans, right?
yeah, like uh, ages in fantasy is weird. Like I've always found weird that like humans they always live like like average human, but then the dwarfs can live like 300 years. Like why? When they live in the same conditions, it's
Because they're shorter.
I'm not sure how long Tauren lived for, but I've heard
I
they
think
live a
it's.
bit long.
I think they live
they
as long as humans, right?
I think no, they can live longer. I think they can live not as long as elves, but I think it's in the same area as dwarves when they can survive hundreds of years and shit. Uh,
Okay,
I don't know. I don't know the exact. I
Uh,
don't know. I don't know
150
quick,
years
the.
apparently.
yeah, quick Google says 115 to 150 years or so.
I didn't know that. I guess we'll have that in mind for Tauren talk if we ever do that.
Yeah, the more you know.
Yeah,
The more you know. Uh, so
I
he's
think you need to get out.
so
It's a bad
he
pun.
spent I think he spent 20 years in this. So yeah, way more than his childhood basically.
Yeah.
uh, and
'Cause
then he
I,
until
I
hmm?
I asked because I'm pretty sure Desolus was more vibrant like a few hundred or so years ago, or maybe even less than that than it is now.
It's
Yeah.
likely.
Sorry, you wanted to add more?
No, I think that was basically his childhood. I know. He got to survive, and he managed to survive. Also thanks to a herd of thunder lizard who just happened who just happened to met him, and they took him in because I don't know, he seemed nice.
Yeah.
I didn't exactly wrote that part in details.
It's sometimes fun to explore. I've done at least one short story of Sierra in her childhood.
I did a short story of Azmira in her childhood a while ago, but I don't know where it went.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You all,
it's basically this whole like I spent my childhood in the wilderness and stuff. I was raised by wolves, except it was like giant thunder spewing lizard. So
you're all very monochrome over here in Final Fantasy. Is that a thing or is that a personal aesthetic?
Uh, well, if I was on Earth, she'd be more purple and blue, if that
I
helps.
can. Virion wears these colors for an actual like. There's a reason why.
But yeah.
Also, cat help.
yeah, a huge black cat right behind. right
There's-
behind the girl.
There's a
That's-
line.
That's not helping my meme from the last time. No, but why do you remove your clothes? No,
No, he's wearing a tank top. He is
no.
wearing a tank top.
Oh, damn it!
What has this become tonight?
I don't know.
Get the
I
fuck
can't even remember
out!
if it was Mirror answered the question now.
I haven't yet.
Okay.
Basically,
Shoot.
Virion's childhood was actually pretty horrible. Like, she had to grow up in. As I mentioned, a lot of the Broom is actually interior, so it's imagine.
He can remove the chest piece if he wants. No,
Imagine,
don't want that.
Imagine like if you've ever seen like a castle interior, do you know what like the underground of a castle looks like? Just think of that basically, but as like a shanty town. That's kind of where she grew up, like the under sections of a castle essentially, which is what the Broom kind of is. And she had to. A lot of her childhood was mostly being used by people, being told to do things that her life depended on, because if she didn't, she would have been either killed or, well, worse. And the Firmament was another district that also got destroyed by the dragons. The Broom's actually next to it, though. But most of her childhood revolved around basically having to listen to people and being told what to do in order to survive, and having to do stuff she really didn't want to do to survive. Like even as a child, she had to commit crimes to survive. The first person she killed, she was 13 when she killed her first victim, because it was either that or essentially her and her brother would have been killed. Like that's just one example of the kind of environment she grew up in. So that and with Elezen particularly, they have a bit of an odd thing in that they don't really bloom in height until they reach like their early 20s. So for most of her childhood, way up to 18, she was like the height of a 16-year-old. So you can imagine that being a debilitation as well. When like as early as 16 was actually the first time she was sent out of the city to do basically like mercenary stuff in order to just eat, to drink. And yeah, like her childhood is effectively the childhood of a child living in the slums and forced to survive. And it was the same deal with her brother. Like they kind of had to survive together, which is why she's making an effort to get him out of the Broom. So if for whatever reason, she's not planning on it, but if she ever did have kids, she really doesn't want them to have the same childhood she did. Like she absolutely does not want them in the Broom. And in a way, she wouldn't really want anyone to grow up there. Like she's a bit of a hard one, but does have a bit of a soft spot for kids because she knows the hell that they go through in there. So if she could, she'd get them all out of there, but she can't. So like her childhood was rough.
All right. Seems to be like the common thing for most OC's childhoods being rough.
As his wasn't really. Well, she kind of wasn't.
For most OCs, I have a few OCs that have a pretty pleasant childhood. It's only when they got older where things got a bit mucky.
I got one like that. My Cold Tyrants was kind of a pleasant childhood.
Yeah.
I think I have a Pandaren who I have a Pandaren monk who had a pretty okay childhood. She just wanted to to see the world out there, and then she did.
Nice.
It just happened.
Wanted to, so she did.
Yeah. she was too bored of being of an NPC, so like she she took the risk.
Exploring is fun, to be fair. Uh, so, what's a strength and weakness for your character?
Okay, all right.
Strength. Virion's strength would actually be mostly her fearlessness, because she's been through such terrible things that not an awful lot really frightens her. So one of her biggest strengths is her ability to basically stand up to things that would otherwise push down a lot of people. So giant monsters, or even just a noble flexing their authority, she's not afraid to stand in front of them and basically tell them to go fuck themselves, and then proceed to stab them with a rapier if need be. But then goes into her weaknesses. Like, one of her biggest weaknesses is that she's reckless, too reckless. Like, she will actively endanger herself and possibly others if not reined in, because she's angry. Like, she gets angry too easily, and she's not really very in control of herself most of the time when like let off the reins, so to speak. So most of the time she's better off as either in a group that can actually handle such a person, or alone, where she doesn't have to be beholden to too many rules, or levied in a military operation, in which case they have the reins. And sometimes that does happen.
What about Tarok?
Well, Torhawk's strength and weakness, it can be resumed in one phrase, in one sentence. He's just too nice. Like he's in a way he's very caring and ready to trust people, a lot
He's
of
naive.
people. He gets kind of naive at some point, and in some way it's this naivete, this caring nature that led him to inspire his troops and his friends and stuff, and but it's also the way he gets tricked very easily. I can like it's a super funny because I can't, I think I can't count the number of time he turned actual villains into good guys, or like into joining the Soul Masters.
It's that
Like
old Abraham Lincoln quote again. It's like, when is your enemy not your enemy? When he's your friend.
yes,
Asmira would like this guy.
like he befriended. I'm trying to make a list of like everything I might remember. He befriended an ogre. He befriended a Grin Totem partisan. An undead girl who possessed by a faceless one, who eventually became his adoptive daughter. A survivor of the Blood Totem clan, in High Mountain. Though they were the Taurens who drank the demon blood.
Angry Torrents.
An assassin from a cult who was specifically sent to spy on the Soul Masters and try to kill them. And he actually turned them into a good guy. He turned a dire orc from the Iron Horde. Like they he was a prisoner of war. He was a prisoner of war, and he just he just likes to hang with the prisoner and talk to them about stuff, and so much that they're eventually like, he's actually pretty nice. I'm gonna I'm gonna fight for this guy, but at the same time, it's also the thing that kind of got him killed.
I think him and Ursa have a lot in common in the sense that they try and sort things out in the most peaceful, like caring way possible.
Asmira too. Like
Yeah.
she's kind of similar to that as well. Actually, Asmira was probably has a lot in common there.
Yeah, and but unfortunately, it's his weakness because he's been also betrayed, and again, the battle of Valor Wind Lake. He's been duped by people who were like ominous as fuck, and like he was the only one to not catch a hint. It's this kind of wanting to trust people that eventually got him killed during the Battle of Lordaeron. Thorok is unfortunately currently dead.
Poor cow, man. He raises a death knight.
X in chat for the poor dead cow
This
man.
is exactly.
Yeah, can we
this
get
is
an F in chat?
F in chat for Torhawks. Hope you liked him. I can't F. I don't have Twitch. I can't F.
Oh no, you need to make one right now so you can F.
Sorry, I won't.
Poor moo cow.
I can't F. I'm dead. Yeah, you got an F from Cow's Demon. That's pretty much a cow. That's pretty much me. So there you go.
We'll just put an F on his tombstone.
Oh, we got heft hard.
So let's have a look here. What do they have any hobbies or passions? Again, I'll let you guys decide since you guys have been fighting over it.
No, I'll take this one.
All right.
Honestly, because it's pretty quick. He doesn't really have a hobby outside of hanging out with the guild and giving missions to his members and stuff. He doesn't really he doesn't have anything aside from that. So there you go.
I mean, that's fair. His work is his hobby, which I guess in a way is a good thing to have.
When you do what you love, you don't work a day, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When you're dead.
Oh no, it's too early. We just left.
He just died the last expansion. Have some respect.
What about you, Esmera? You guys too busy harassing my bunny there?
No, basically, Virion's hobbies. Her hobbies would actually. One of her hobbies, she likes to collect crystals, because it kind of goes back to the whole thing of having only seen the natural world for the first time at like 16. She's only in her mid-30s at the moment, so it is still fresh to her because
Tiny rocks are still fancy.
Yeah, like she's still a little wowed to this day by the natural world because it's just so odd to her. Like she sees a strange crystal formation and she's just like, ooh. And very occasionally she'll collect crystals. And another thing she likes to do is she likes to duel. Like literally, she actually likes to duel with her rapier without magic sometimes. Like just straight up duel someone in combat.
Yeah, just straight up like Eskrima and stuff.
Yeah, just fight. Like she likes to fight, like, and she also likes to. She likes hunting as well. Like one of her hobbies is hunting because she didn't get to do that in the Broom, and it's kind of it's a liberating experience, and it's also kind of a thing she takes after from her dad as well, who is a hunter.
Mm.
So and she used to go on hunting parties whenever she was levied into the military for the Dragon Song War. She would often have to go out into hunting parties to hunt dragons. So kind of a bit of a leftover from that, where she's kind of.
That's one hell of a hobby. I'm just gonna slay dragons.
She's filling the void by
Casually.
hunting. She's filling the void by hunting other things now.
Yeah, by the challenge, basically.
Yeah, just going out in the world and hunting things like a dangerous ravenous wolf, or like a gubu, or like a. Well, there was this one time she went out of her way to go and duel a Moogle and lost, but we don't talk about that.
Can't believe you were bullying a Moogle. You kind of deserved it.
Well, she didn't go out of her way exactly. She went to duel someone, and a Moogle saw it and decided to test her might against it, and the Moogle beat her.
Bullied.
She did not bully the Moogle.
Can't believe it.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, so I'll just be as scandalized as everyone else.
It's the little cat thing with bat wings, if you've seen it.
Yeah, they're like these. They look like these teddy bears, but with bat wings.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's supposed to be cute. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're actually terrifying, to be honest. But yeah.
All
she
right.
also she likes to read too, but that's the extent of because even though she is a bit of a fighter, she is a mage, and with being a mage comes being a bit of a nerd.
Yeah, obviously.
What a nerd.
Yeah.
So what does a day look like for your character, and how would someone get in touch with them? I see. I guess we can't really get in touch with Tarok, so what would a day be?
Have to go to his
Currently,
grave, flowers. Where's he buried?
Sure. Yeah, I guess we can go to where he's buried.
Where is he buried? Well, he's currently buried. Well, he's supposed to be buried in the.
I should hope he's where you last left him.
In this island near Northrend. Well, this is kind of sad because we kind of have a story arc where his ashes have been stolen. So
that's not respect.
That's not respect at all. There's no there's a few people who want us to do some bad things, and they're using Toroks for that. So yeah,
Tarok Death Knight Saga.
But before the post-death saga, he's a character even when he dies. It really I can't believe how it bite me in the ass when Shadowlands was revealed, but because I have to write him again. But before he was dead, he was. I guess it was kind of hard to get in touch with him because he mostly resides in his bases of operations. You mostly meet him during expeditions and stuff, or it's most of the time you meet other soul masters who take you to him, and you can have a nice chat with him. Or if it was during Cataclysm, he kind of hanged around Durotar and Orgrimmar, and you kind of could recognize him as being this hero slew the Lich King if you want, but
awesome.
But there you go. That's how you got to meet him in various moments of his life.
I'm gonna pay respects to the Moo.
What about your characters, Mira?
A day in the life of a Virion is mostly. Well, she is on the road a lot, so oftentimes she's camping or staying at an inn in like a local settlement, wherever she is. And she'll usually just like, for the most part, the mornings are just like she'll get up, go eat something, go drink, and then she'll go out and she'll take the morning to take a contract, like a levy or even just someone in the tavern who needs assistance and is willing to pay guild for it. And most oftentimes she'll take the one with the most danger involved because that tends to pay the most gil. So most often her day involves going out and doing that contract, coming back, earning her day's worth of gil, and then just going off, probably sobbing for a little bit, and then going back to sleep. Very occasionally, she will go into the markets, but she's not very good with merchants, so she tends to avoid them. Like when she can.
People do suck.
Although there are, obviously, there's also certain circumstances, like different events in the world might cause her to be called upon by the city-state as a citizen to join their army in, say, recent conflicts that involve Ishgard. Like a very recent one, which I won't spoil, but very recently she was called into fighting a battle for, like, in the Ishgardian army against a very horrifying foe that she still hasn't quite gotten over just how terrible it was. But it's basically her day to day tends to depend on where she is. Like if she's just out normally, she's just having a contract. If she's called upon by the city state and pulled into the military service, she's often with their army on campaign. Otherwise, though, she's very occasionally she'll actually get the ability to just go back home and drop the gil off to her brother. And occasionally, she'll also send some of the gil off to Carlisle, mostly out of guilt for letting Lethard die. So sometimes she funds the other family too in secret, although they don't know that she does it. They just see Gil coming in anonymously, but it's from her, mostly to compensate for his death.
Awesome.
Oh, and she drinks a lot, so yeah, most of her evenings tend to be drunk.
Bunny drinks a lot too, but she's very fuck around and find out.
Hell yeah.
Drunk RP. That's a style of roleplay that I haven't really dealt with before. Sounds fun.
I have.
Someone mentioned this, and I hate calling people out, but it's very funny. You know when someone has never been drunk before, by the way they RP being drunk or drinking.
I've never been drunk before, but I have RP being drunk, and Az is a bit of an adorable drunk, from what I've heard.
Asya tends to be more of a calm but caring one. She's more relaxed. All right. Well, Meraki, I'll let you pull out a question out of the bonus hat.
Ooh, I get to pick the bonus question. You do some shilling.
I shall do some shilling. Whilst I do some shilling, we can look at the apartment then, I guess. So if you're not following me on Twitter, also there's two cats arguing. If you're not following me on Twitter, it's at Fusecraft AD. if you're not following YouTube, it's Fusecraft. You'll find that there's links throughout the Streamlabs. There's been dropping it there. I mean, it's right there actually. Join our Discord. There's you can find the OC applications there. You can join in more than once with different OCs.
Yeah.
I'll be applying another one later down the line as well.
Have I missed?
Multiple hours. Did that little thing just jump on your bed?
It's my little otter. Have you seen it? I mean, it's been jumping in front of the stream multiple times.
I did. I saw it. I thought it was someone doing a. Oh my god! It's
Yeah,
so
he was.
cute.
He was jumping. He was jumping everywhere like the whole time.
It's
Yeah,
my
very
little
cute.
my little mascot.
It's a little slonker.
I can't do emotes whilst have the thing hidden. There we go. So there's YouTube, Twitter, and if you want to support Patreon, the money will go towards the Spotify thing once we reach the £12 goal. I guess I think it's £12 for us also to be able to upload stuff on Spotify. If you're not paying attention to Twitter today, actually, I am planning on doing a giveaway at 2K for a little meme drawing. So, I mean, if you want to drop follows or help me find an artist to be able to draw it, that'd be much appreciated. But once we reach 2K, that should be something that's going up. I believe that's it for shilling, isn't it?
Right. Your bonus question is: how does your character deal with stress, and what keeps them awake at night, if anything?
The way Virion deals with stress is actually violently. Like, she's
Kill it. Whatever
she-
the source of the stress is, kill it.
she chooses violence, and most of the time it's if it's like a thing that she's allowed to fight and kill, she will do it. Otherwise, if it's something she can't kill or she's not allowed to, she'll
It would be frowned upon.
Yeah, most of the time she tends to. Occasionally, she will pick a fight with them anyway, but she won't kill them. So if in like a bar, sometimes it will result in like a bar fight, or occasionally smacking walls, or just like stomping her foot, or like just pacing around. But otherwise, or even just being short with people, like in conversation. Like, she's not normally short with people, so if she is, that is usually a stress thing. And occasionally it will, like, one way she deals with it is drinking, but that's actually the last resort, ironically. Like, she much prefers fighting things as a coping mechanism than drinking. Like, if she has to drink it away, then it's bad. Like, it's something that she can't deal with violence.
Fair enough.
And sometimes just sleeping. Like, the other last resort is just going to sleep.
There's very little a good nap can't fix.
Yeah, and sometimes not even on a bed. Sometimes she'll just find a dark alley and just sleep there, like no fucks given.
The dedication to the nap.
Yeah, no fucks given.
Improvised good spot.
Yeah, just no fucks given. She's got that bit of a cat mentality of if it fits, I sit. Well, she's been sleeping on the cold ground all her life. Like, she doesn't care.
If it fits, she sits.
Yeah, pretty much. She prefers a bed, but she has she will sleep on the ground if needs be.
She won't give any objections.
Yeah, but she slept on a bar stool once.
All right. What about Tarok?
He's rarely deal like with stress. So I'm trying to remember how he got to deal with it. Most of the time, he's kind of like he's kind of like Virion. He's kind of like Asmira's OC. He prefers to fight his problems. Talk it out first, then beating the crap out of each other. Of no, not each other, but beating the crap out of the problem if he's really like as a last resort.
Yeah, talking it down didn't work.
There was once this demon boss one time during Legion. It was basically our final event of Legion, our last Legion event, where there was this huge burning Legion army, and we with the Soul Masters allied with other factions. We had to take it down, and there was this situation he just couldn't handle because there was he was being told down by the other factions leaders, and his soul masters were in trouble against the huge demon boss. And what he just did, he just lost it. He beat the shit out of the demon boss. Like I think I pulled him like 6 dice roll basically. six attacks like at the during the same turn, sorry. Like and yeah, he just killed one boss he just killed one boss in one turn. So it's a pretty much don't push the buttons too hard. Don't push the buttons too many times, or I might I might break the fuck out of your face. but okay, but most of the time, like that's the extreme. That's really the extreme. But most of the time, he prefers to talk it out with the people like who are part of the problem.
All right. I guess that's it then, right?
I think that is it.
You don't have anything to show?
Not this week, no.
There's a cat on
Oh,
my
well,
bed.
I mean, that's a very big cat. That there's no room for a person.
It's a
also in that
himbo.
bed.
This house is full of himbos and herbos.
Okay. So, what did you want to show there, Meraki? Sorry.
If you are still in WoW at the moment, we are going to be at an event for the Brewfest on Sunday evening. That's it, though. Now we're just
Nice.
ambiguously around.
Awesome. You
Well,
can find that event on our Discord, which you should totally join.
I'll have trouble joining. I'm too busy being dead.
Yes, that will be
That's
that will be a significant barrier to entry.
That would be
you can just
yeah.
appear there as a ghost. It's fine.
It's one of the.
Ooh, give me a beer.
Well, he's in the Shadowlands now. He can't really. Anyway.
I feel like I'm being assaulted by this cat.
I've been harassed by you two in my apartment. But yeah, thank you guys. There'll be more next week. RP Talks again is under, I guess, dormancy for now, but we're figuring things out. We're very, very slowly.
It's still pending review.
But hopefully we'll have something. We'll return with something everyone's satisfied with. Tuning into basically. Otherwise, thank you guys for dropping by, and
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you a lot for allowing us to share our our personal experience and our our little bubbles, our little personal universe with the world. It's a great way great way to share with people, and I really appreciate
That is actually a good way of seeing it, really.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
no problem. See you guys.
Take care.
See you, take care.